It seems like as soon as we get a big batch of inventory in, it goes out as fast as it comes in. We do have an extremely large amount of inventory coming in August and September, so we should get ahead of the curve, but let's go right to the PowerPoint slides. Oh, here it is. Combining strengths of Panasonic and Sanyo. Panasonic is a premier manufacturer of HVAC products, primarily between 9,000 and 24,000 BTUs in a wall-mounted configuration.
The history a little bit.
Okay, there's coming up in the next slide. We are the #1 market leader in Japan and Southeast Asia. Sanyo is commercially focused, therefore we have a lot of the ceiling recessed, ceiling suspended, concealed ceiling ducted product available from Sanyo manufacturing, and we're combining that into one product line under the Panasonic brand name. The acquisition of Sanyo by Panasonic happened on April 1st, 2011. All Sanyo divisions were acquired by Panasonic of Japan. All Sanyo air conditioning and heat pump products will continue to be supported through our current technical support and parts divisions. We look forward to continuing to bring you the highest quality of air conditioning and heat pump products under the Panasonic brand. The acquisition timeline. December 2009, Panasonic Electric acquired the majority share of Sanyo Electric. July 2010, Panasonic Electric announced the intention to purchase the remaining 49% of Sanyo Electric. December 2010, Panasonic North America announced the intentions to integrate the Sanyo HVAC division under the new Panasonic division. April 2011, Panasonic Electric assumes 100% control of Sanyo Electric. In October 2011, Sanyo HVAC officially became part of Panasonic air conditioning division. January 2012, Sanyo brand is transitioned to Panasonic brand, and we are in the process of selling out all remaining Sanyo inventory, and there will be no more Sanyo manufactured as soon as the inventory is depleted. We'll fully support all of the Sanyo warranties and parts for more than 7 years as our parts availability continue. Who is Panasonic? Started in 1918 as Matsushita Electric, originally producing lighting fixtures. We became a global company after World War II. Corporate name changed from Matsushita Electric to Panasonic after 2005 to strengthen its connection to the brand and its customers. Panasonic's name means Pan is all and Sonic is sound, so we're all sound. Involved in multiple industries: consumer electronics, automotive, heating and air conditioning, security video, ventilation, cameras, building products, phones, avionics, and batteries. #1 market share of RAC, AC, and heat pumps, 9 through 24,000 BTUs in Japan and Europe. We have approximately 30% share. #1 compressor manufacturer in the world. and we aim to be the #1 green manufacturer by 2018. Panasonic corporate sponsorships include soccer. Panasonic is making a strong brand investment. We're launching our major advertising campaign this Friday as the Olympic Games kick off in, I think it's London this year. This is what our initial air conditioning products looked like back in 1961. We've come a long way since then. Panasonic split systems. All Panasonic split systems are comprised of 3 main components: an indoor unit, an outdoor unit, and a remote controller. These components are easily connected via a 3.5-inch hole through the wall or ceiling via refrigerant lines. Installation is simple as mounting the units, running the refrigerant lines, and making electrical connections. The U.S. ductless split system market is approximately 325,000 systems annually. Comparing that to the unitary market you all are used to, which is more than 7 million units yearly. The ductless market has grown more than 100% since 2004. Roughly half of the ductless systems sold in the United States are 18,000 BTUs and below. So it should be easy to always have the popular movers in stock. Should be. Ductless split systems compete against room air conditioners, packaged terminal air conditioners, and unitary systems. All Panasonic split systems meet or exceed all of the agency equipment standards of performance and compliance, AHRI, CSA, and DOE. You can see all of our models at www.haridirectory.org. We have 8 models that are ENERGY STAR certified. We are environmentally friendly. Panasonic product line offering uses environmentally friendly zero ozone depletion of R410A refrigerant. All models meet and exceed federal DOE guidelines for energy efficiency. We are more than 13 SEER in our performance. Oops, that's wrong. What is an inverter? Unlike standard air conditioners, whose compressor turns on and off, the inverter-controlled compressor runs at a proper revolution to provide efficiency and reduce energy losses. This is obtained by converting incoming AC power to DC power, thereby making it possible to accurately control unit capacity. When the maximum capacity is not required, the compressor revolution is decreased. This means that the input power decreases too, which results in increased efficiency. Variable speed inverter-driven compressors provide a range of capacity and are listed with minimal, nominal, and maximum capacities in our catalog. Compressors start at a minimum frequency. We call that a soft start. This allows the bearings to be lubricated before increasing to the maximum speed. System pressures increase gradually, reducing noise and stress on the piping system. We therefore have a quiet start. We have longer running periods at lower capacities. This leads to better dehumidification. Fewer compressor starts mean less wear and tear on the compressor and result in higher efficiency and lower gas or electric bills. Excuse me. This is an example of a 9,000 BTU heat pump, and you can see the capacity range in cooling, which is 4,000. Its nominal rated is 8,500 BTUs. Its cooling range is from 4,100 to 10,200 BTUs. And in the heating mode, we have a nominal rating of 11,200, and its operating range is 4,100 to 14,100. With the inverter technology, unit capacity can automatically adjust to room load, providing only the capacity required to satisfy the load in the zone. The benefits of inverter control is that we reach set points much quicker than traditional systems. The inverter compressor starts out slowly, lubricates all the bearings, and then ramps up to the maximum speed needed to satisfy the output in the zone. Whereas a conventional compressor, it's either on or it's off, so therefore you have overshooting of the set point and undershooting of the set point as we try to satisfy the comfort conditions in the space. Cost savings, building and installation. Refrigerant pipes instead of ductwork, air handlers closer to the delivery point. There's no loss of velocity due to long duct runs. The ductless splits also require less space to be allocated to the line sets and ductwork, less than ductwork. Less bulky materials, use cheaper it's also cheaper to transport. Excuse me, I got tongue-tied there. Oops. Wrong button. Features and benefits. Very low operating noise levels. Indoor units range from 20 to 49 dBA, driven by DC motors. We have 5 speed settings and a quiet mode. The outdoor units range from 46 to 56 dBA with lower fan RPMs, thicker insulation, and inverter-driven compressors. Typically, conversational speech is 60 dBA, which you might find useful in comparing these dBA numbers. Typically in a library you have less than 40 dBA sound level. Lower cost operation, lower cooling costs. We have excellent dehumidification. We also have a dry mode. The dry mode, when it is selected, disregards the temperature selection of the remote control that is controlling the unit in the room. Therefore, if the dry mode is selected, you might have customer complaints where the unit is actually cooling colder than their desired set point. The dry mode is indicated by a raindrop on the remote control display, and if that is selected, tell your customer to select the snowflake mode, which is responding to the set point of the remote control. lower operating costs. We're controlling a room or a zone rather than the whole building. We have precise temperature control. We don't overshoot or undershoot. The remote control is constantly reacting to changes in the operating conditions. As more people come into the room, the inverter will ramp up the output of the ductless split and try to satisfy the needs of the zone. Typical applications of ductless splits. How would you like to be this installer hanging on the side of a building probably 3 to 6 stories above the ground and installing the condensing unit? Anyway, the residential remodels, space and additions such as sunrooms, basements, attics, bedrooms, replacement of a window air conditioner. We have applications in schools and universities, toll guard booths on expressways, elevator equipment rooms, ATM machines, hospitals, nursing homes, laboratories, military bases, prisons, banks, job site trailers, churches, hotels and casinos, and restaurants, oil rigs. Oil rigs typically need some epoxy coating on the coils to make them last longer. That's not a requirement of our equipment. That's the requirement of their operating environment. All of our Panasonic coils come with a blue coil coating, which helps them last longer in sea salt or seacoast operating areas. We also have applications in computer rooms, telecommunication towers, gas stations, or just about anywhere you can think of. These are some of our prominent national accounts. We sell only to wholesale distributors. We don't sell directly to national accounts. These are people who apply or recommend our equipment for use in their applications. This is a typical model number identification system. Generally, CS means it's the indoor evaporator. CU means it's the outdoor condensing unit. We have a system model number, which is indicated by, for example, S18NKU would be the standard operating 18,000 BTU wall-mounted unit. Our professional series is from 26,000 BTUs through 36,000 or 42,000 BTUs in either wall mount, ceiling recessed, ceiling suspended, concealed ceiling, ducted.
What's the big difference between rack and pattern?
The rack product line is what we call our residential air conditioning and heat pump equipment, which is 9,000 BTUs through 24,000 BTUs. That equipment doesn't have as many features built into it as our professional series product does. There are many of the rack product have a temperature lockout of about -4 to -8 degrees Fahrenheit in the low ambient models and in the heat pump models, whereas the standard rack product is only rated down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit operation. So it's important to know the application where the rack product is going into if you need air conditioning operation when it's colder than 60 degrees Fahrenheit outside, the standard rack air conditioning models do not allow for conversion to low ambient in the field. The original design of the 9 through 24,000 standard models is our old technology, and the low ambient inverter drive and heat pump models are our new design criteria. So those, are low ambient right out of the box down to -4 or -8 depending on the model. The pack models, for the most part, do not have any temperature cutout. So all of the ceiling suspended, ceiling recessed, concealed ceiling ducted, all of those will operate down to whatever temperature it is outdoors. We are only tested to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, however. But we have it on our wish list to get our factory to change that for the future, but we have no promise date as of this date. Do you think that answers? Excellent. The serial number identification system just basically tells the number of units that came off the production line that particular day, and the last 2 digits indicate the year of manufacture and the quarter of the year that system was manufactured. For example, 63 would indicate that this unit was manufactured in 2006 in the 3rd quarter, which is July through September time frame. And our rack products are consisting mainly of wall-mounted air conditioning units in both single-zone systems and multi-zone systems. We have incorporated 3 models of the ceiling recessed product in our single-zone and multi-zone applications, as indicated by these model numbers. Also, we have a handy chart in our product catalog on page 6 and 7 that shows you all of the different models that we manufacture in both standard cooling type, low ambient cooling type, and heat pump cooling type, and heat pumps in single zone and in multi-zone configurations. The highlight of the 9 through 24,000 models: standard cooling will operate down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The standard cooling model cannot be field converted to low ambient models. Low ambient cooling models will operate down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit for 9 and 12, and 0 degrees from 18 through 24. But again, there is no lockout until -4 on the 9 and 12, and -8 on the 18 and 24. The heat pump models will also operate down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit in cooling for the 9 and 12, and 0 degrees Fahrenheit for the 18 and 24. 5 degrees Fahrenheit in heating is the rated heating condition, but it will actually operate a little bit lower than that before it hits its lockout. All of our 9 through 24,000 models have a bluefin condenser coating, which extends the life up to 3 times versus a non-coated condenser coil. the REC product lineup in 30 and 36,000 BTUs. We were asked a few years ago when we were still Sanyo to cost reduce the commercial quality pack 30 and 36,000 BTU wall-mounted unit, and for that reason we took some components out of the system, which put it in the pack category of having no lockout condition. The new 30 and 36,000 BTU wall-mounted units do have now a lockout at -4 degrees Fahrenheit. For that reason, it's not as good for a low ambient application as our old product used to be, but it's much lower cost point than the pack model used to be. We do emulate more of the rack product line with the 30 and 36,000 BTU models. So we have special wired and wireless controls that do not interface with the pack models. So you have to pay attention to that when you're ordering your controls for this system. We have a new dual zone system, 18,000 BTU condenser with you can mount either two 9,000 BTU wall-mounted evaporators, a 9 and a 12, or a 12 and a 12 on that same 18,000 BTU condenser. And note that for cooling only model is rated down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. We do have a model that's rated down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit in cooling and 5 degrees Fahrenheit in heating, but that
This is for comfort cooling only.
this is for comfort cooling only. Please do not try to apply these in telephone switching rooms or computer rooms, as they're not really geared up for that type of environment. Here's a chart of our Flexi Multi product lineup. This is this product ranges from 19,000 BTUs through 31,000 BTUs on the outdoor condensing unit, and you can mount up to 3 evaporators on the 19,000 BTU condensing system. If you need to mount more evaporators, you'll have to go up to the 24,000 and the 31,000 BTU condensing unit. That will allow up to 4 evaporators mounted on a single condenser. You can mix and match between ceiling recessed 9, 12, and 18,000 BTU evaporators and 7 through 24,000 BTU wall-mounted evaporators. You have to keep in mind that you have to stay within the line set parameters that are listed in the sales catalog. There is a chart on the back of the catalog that shows you how long you can run your line set on the multi-zone systems. For example, on the CU-3 KE19 NBU, you can run a maximum tubing length of 82 feet. That's for all 3. That's the total of all 3 evaporators. So you have to stay within that parameter. The larger units will allow you a little more flexibility. Excuse me, I misspoke. maximum length of tubing between the indoor and the outdoor for one evaporator is 82 feet on the 19,000. If you have to go longer, go up to the 24,000 or the 31,000 BTU model, and you can go 100 feet in one direction. But you have to stay within a maximum tubing length on the 19 of 150 feet and a maximum tubing length on the 31,000 of, I believe it's 210 feet. Flexible combinations, you can apply evaporator surface up to 130% of the rated condenser capacity, but please keep in mind that you should have some load shedding taking place in your application that you have in mind. For example, if you have a residential application with the east-west exposure, you know that your loads are going to be higher on the east side of the building in the morning, and then slowly subside as the sun moves over to the west side of the building. So the extra capacity that you have on the east side of the building can be used on the west side of the building to condition your space. So you're not going to be able to get 130% capacity out of a 19 or 24 or 31,000 BTU condenser 100% of the time. If you have 100% demand calling for a short amount of time, the controls on the condensing unit will automatically cheat or throttle back to each evaporator an equal amount of time, equal amount of opening of the electronic expansion valve. So if you are drastically oversized, an error code will show up on your remote control, and if that error code shows up, you just shut one of the evaporators off, and the error code should clear, and that would tell you that you got too aggressive with your sizing. This is shows the typical combination chart of possible combinations of evaporators to the different condensing units. You can read through that at your leisure. It's in our product catalog, and that will be a double check on whether what you have in mind is going to fly or not. And each unit has its possible combination chart that you can refer to. This is the possible combination matrix of all the different styles of evaporators and condensers. So that is, if you have any question, refer to your branch manager or salesman, and we will get you a definitive answer on whether what you have in mind is doable. This shows your 19,000 BTU multi-zone applied with 2 evaporators. The minimum on these condensing units, these multi-zone condensing unit, you have to apply at least 2 evaporators on a 3 or 4 zone system. We have to have some place for the refrigerant in the condensing unit to go and expand to, and we need a minimum of 2 evaporators. You don't have to apply 3 or 4 evaporators, but you must apply at least 2. We have flexible combination of evaporators. You can use all 9,000 BTUs on the 24,000 BTU, or you can use a 7. 7-9, or you can use a 7-12-9. The chart will tell you all the possible combinations of evaporators that you can do. This shows you mixing one ceiling recessed with 3 wall-mounted evaporators. Keep in mind you have to have some load shedding taking place. As the building gets conditioned, you know that you're not going to need all of the capacity in one zone or another zone, and that additional capacity can be used in another part of the building, especially after the room or after the application has equaled out and settled down to its set points. Wireless remote controls, basic functions. You have mode of operation, which is heating, cooling, dehumidification, which is the dry mode, manual operation of the fan speeds. You can operate different louver settings. The remote control, when it is on, communicates with the condensing unit, with the evaporator every 3 minutes. The remote will also restart the unit after a power interruption only if the remote is in the room with the evaporator and it's within line of sight of the evaporator. It is important to locate the remote in an area where the signal can be received by the indoor unit. It is not necessary to keep the remote in the space all the time. The indoor unit will sense the return air sensor on the condenser after 3 tries to communicate with the remote control. If your building superintendent likes to keep the remote control in a drawer someplace, after he's started up the unit, that's perfectly fine. But in the event of a power failure, the unit has to be, or the remote has to be brought out again and able to give the evaporator its program. Once you press the on-off button, you'll hear a low-tone beep which indicates that the indoor is communicating with the remote control. Once the outdoor unit has started, there is a minimum run time, or there's a 3-minute start delay once the on button has been pushed. And then there's a minimum run time of 5 minutes once the compressor has come on. So if you've oversized the air conditioner drastically for a particular size room, no matter what the set temperature is, it's going to run for 5 minutes and overcool that room and then shut off. That's to protect the compressor from damage. If you need to reset the remote control, there is a ACL button, which I say is all clear. You need to stick a narrow pointed object in that space to depress the ACL button, and that will allow you to clear the program. Every time you change batteries in the remote control, it's also recommended to press the ACL button before you recommission the remote control. Occasionally, lighting can affect the signal being received by the remote control or by the evaporator that's hanging on the wall. If you have it above a new flat screen TV, that'll affect the reception of the signal. Also, these neon signs are a disaster for the remote control. For the receiving eye on the evaporator. They will interfere and cause lack of signal reception, and will cause nuisance shutoffs. So you don't want to locate those devices near the evaporator. Also, sometimes high efficiency ballast in your fluorescent lighting will also affect the reception of the signal on the remote control or on the evaporator receiving eye. So you have to check your installations, to make sure that none of that is going to interfere with the operation of your system. You can put a shield over the receiving eye, or you can just go to a wired remote control, which will eliminate the signal interference for the evaporator. Address setting of the remote control. The address can be set in order to prevent interference between two remote controls. You can basically break the. We have a and a B tab on the remote control. By breaking the tab marked A, this will permanently cause the remote to always be addressed to B. And this will allow the operation of two different ductless splits in the same room. The address is normally set to A, so the only option is to break the tab off, and then it becomes a B remote. Wireless remote controller functions without the remote controller. The operation will, without the remote controller, if you have a lost remote control unit, or it has trouble, follow the following steps. When the air conditioner is not running, each time the operation button is pressed, the operation mode changes cyclically. It goes from cooling operation to stop. Then you hit it again, it goes to cooling operation. You hit it again, it goes to stop. The temperature is set to the room temperature minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit during the cooling operation. And the fan speed and the flap are set to auto. Note, the evaporator will maintain room temperature minus 4 degrees in cooling, and room temperature plus 4 degrees in heating. The fan speed and flap are set to auto mode. Wireless remote controller functions. We have automatic restart after power failure if the remote is in the room where the evaporator is mounted. We have a 1 hour off timer when the button is pressed, either while the unit is operating or while the unit is stopped. The unit will operate for 1 hour and then switch to off automatically. There's a 24-hour clock with an on-off program timer. The remote controller unit allows you to set a wireless variety of timer-based operations, such functions include automatic on-off with with a timer setting, same time on-off every day, on timer, off timer, and a combination of timers. These wireless remote control functions are listed on the on page 8 and 9 of the sales catalog. So if you have any question on what functions any of these units have, the chart on page 8 shows you all of the different models that are available, and the dots on the chart shows you what's included. There's a OP indication on the chart that shows you it's optional, and just a line through it indicates it's not available. Wireless remote, we have a high power function. The unit operates at a maximum capacity by pressing the high power mode, and it'll operate in that mode for 30 minutes. So if you come into a room when the unit has been off and it's extremely hot, you hit the high power button and it'll operate that way for 30 minutes, and then you could throttle it back to standard operating mode. Night setback mode, basically that if you have your evaporator mounted in a bedroom and you want to go to sleep at night, you put it in the night setback mode, and that will allow the cooling setting in the cooling mode to increase or get warmer in temperature by 2 degrees Fahrenheit after 30 minutes, and another 2 degrees after an hour. So you're able to not have to wake up freezing in the morning when you're allowed the room setting temperature to drift up 4 degrees from set point. There's a sweep button or a sweep mode on this. The main vane that closes the outlet of the evaporator will oscillate up and down either automatically, or you can set the position of the sweeper vane to a standard stationary position, and you can do that with the remote control from your easy chair if you like. We have wired remote options for all models in the heat pump and low ambient cooling models. The standard cooling model does not have a wired remote capability, so keep that in mind when you're applying these 9 through 24,000 BTU evaporators. Wired remote option works with all CS-KS or /KE 30 and 36, or CS-MKS /MKE and CS-KS /KE 12 and 18,000 BTU evaporators. The wall-mounted evaporators require an additional wire kit when you're applying a wired remote control. So that is pointed out by these model numbers. There's a built-in anti-mold filter that is treated with special chemical for mold and bacteria prevention. The electrical wiring installation, we basically have line 1 and line 2 and a ground going to the outdoor condensing unit from the breaker, and then we have terminals 1, 2, 3 and ground going from the outdoor condensing unit to the indoor evaporator. and that's the same on all of our units, with the exception of the pack models where we have the addition of line or control wires U1 and U2. But in the rack product, the residential air conditioning is between 9,000 and 24,000 BTU, and the multi-zones. This is your wiring diagram. This is also located in the product catalog on page 11. Multi-unit installation is the same. Basically, you have a more complicated terminal strip in the outdoor condenser unit, where you land line 1 and line 2 and ground, and then you have 4 terminals for unit A, 4 terminals for unit B, 4 terminals for unit C, 4 terminals for unit D, depending on how many evaporators the condenser unit is capable of handling. And you just follow the same wiring pattern. It's recommended that you use a different color wire for each terminal going to each evaporator, so that you don't get the wires mixed up. All of these units are polarity sensitive. Line 1 and line 2 are the main power lines, and they are line voltage. Line 3 is mainly the control voltage. You can read a pulse signal if you have an RMS meter on terminal 3. It's usually between 12 to 15 volts DC. The pack models are truly commercial quality product. They have more filters manufactured into the product, have lower operating temperature range with no temperature cutouts. So it's a nice product. The indoor unit typically is, for the wall mounted, is S, and in the outdoor unit is indicated by a U. Capacity is indicated by the 26 or 36 in position 2. The P indicates that it's a pack series in position 3. 4 indicates the category or the type of evaporator. K indicates wall mounted. U indicates ceiling recessed. T is ceiling suspended. F is concealed ceiling ducted. S is cooling model. E is heat pump model. The 5th position indicates it's the development series that we are producing at this moment, and voltage is indicated in position 6. These are all 208, 230 volt single phase. The only model we make in our product lineup is the that is 110 volts or 115 volts is our concealed our ceiling recessed 12,000 BTU cooling, low ambient cooling, and heat pump model. That's the only 110, 115 volt model we have in our lineup at this moment. This chart indicates cooling only models available in 26 through 42,000 BTU configuration. Again, we're rated to 0 degrees in cooling, but there is no temperature cutout. These are different evaporator styles that are available. I've got to hurry this up because I just told I've got 5 minutes left. This is the features on the 26,000 wall-mounted unit. It's a heat pump capable, sleek design, easily serviceable, low sound levels. Wireless remote control is included, but wired remote control is optional. The ceiling suspended model is available in heat and cool models. Fresh air capable through the back of the evaporator. Typically you mount this on an outside wall of your application, and you can bring in fresh air duct through the back. Wired remote control is included. Wireless is optional. Low ambient is standard on this model, and low sound level. This is a ceiling recessed. This is cooling and heating capable, wired remote included. Wireless is available. We have fresh air capability with an optional plenum that's added to the evaporator face. We have the knockout on this, on the larger sizes, 26, 36, and 42, are available on the fresh air plenum that you have to add to this unit. On the smaller ceiling recess, we have 9, 12, and 18,000 that has a fresh air knockout that is on the evaporator chassis that you can bring in fresh outside air. I think it's a 4-inch line that you can bring in. This is a concealed ceiling ducted unit. The 4 circles on the face of the evaporator can be removed, and you can put on a rectangular duct boot on there and add a aftermarket duct heater if you like. The ceiling or the filter grill is changeable from back to bottom. That panel that you remove off the bottom will bolt onto the back of the evaporator, and you can put your return grill on the bottom if you like, or if your application requires it. There is a built-in condensate pump for a 20-inch lift, which will lift the condensate above the chassis so that you can gravity feed your condensate line across the ceiling to the outside wall. If that's not satisfactory, then you'll have to add a more capable condensate pump. This shows you how you can add external heating package. Not available from Sanyo. It's available through the aftermarket, and this is the wiring diagram to do that. We have available wind baffles that are highly recommended, especially if you're going to operate these units in low ambient conditions. It's made out of a clear Lexan plastic that is resilient to sunlight and heat and cold. It's pretty durable. This is an installation at our test facilities in Wooddale, Illinois, where we are controlling a computer room in that application. This is the pack wiring diagram. We have lines 1 and 2 and ground going between the outdoor unit and the indoor. This shows you the capability of wiring the evaporator separately from the outdoor unit if your application requires it. You can still have single point wiring on this system. You would land the line 1, 2, and ground at the condensing unit, and then continue on from line 1, 2, and ground to the indoor evaporator if you want single point power. If you want dual point, you would have to run a separate line voltage power source to the indoor evaporator. But you do have to home run your U1 and U2 inner unit control wiring, and that has to be shielded and grounded on each end of the shielded cable. There's a lot of different options of the remote controls. You can go over that with your salesman or your counter person as needed according to what your job requires. The clearances of the outdoor unit, we need a minimum of 4 inches on the intake and 48 inches on the discharge of the condensing unit. But keep in mind when you have to go to service this unit, if you've got a lot of debris in the air, cottonwood trees clogging up your condensing unit, you want to give yourself as much room as possible to be able to get in there and service that condensing unit. So don't bind yourself up by going to the minimum of the installation numbers all the time and make it difficult on yourself to service these units. We also need 7 feet above the unit clearance minimum to be able to apply these in a recommended factory authorized installation. The evaporators, same thing holds true with the evaporators. You got to go in there and change out a blower motor or change out a PC board or anything that requires service in the future, whether it be a motor bearing, what have you. You want to give yourself more than 2 inches on either side or 6 inches above to be able to service the unit easily. Keep in mind, we don't want the evaporators any closer than 5 feet from the floor, so we don't have the conditioned air bouncing back to the return of the evaporator and causing short cycling. Keep in mind that the 410A refrigerant is 1.6 times higher pressure than R22, and our compressor oil is different. Our 410A uses a polyester oil. It's a synthetic fluid. We also recommend different gauge manifolds and charging hose, and they must be dedicated to our 410A refrigerant. This is a near azeotrope type refrigerant, and only charge refrigerant in a liquid form, never top off the refrigerant charge. And please contact our technical people if you have any questions and need help. This is a special fitting that's needed to access our system on the condensing unit. This is a 1/4 by 5/16 adapter, and once you buy this and put it in your toolbox, you never have to buy another one unless you want to leave it on the job site. But this is available from Ritchie or JB. Is that it?
Yeah, just finish off.
We also have Sourman condensate pumps available, but I believe TEC uses their own condensate pumps, which is fine. You can use anybody's condensate pump. The CZ26 BCU1U is the example of one size air intake plenum. All of our line sets come insulate both the liquid and the suction line independently, and we use half-inch foam insulation so you have more efficient operation of the unit. This is our product catalog, and if you don't have one, we can send you one online, or you can pick one up in the branches as you come and visit. Thank you very much. That concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, please let us hear from you, and we'll be happy to get you the answers you need.
Thank you so much.